To begin with how I found out about May Sarton. I think it's sort of interesting. So on my father's side of the family, my aunt and uncle have a book that's exactly like this one. 500 must-read books. Pretty generic. There's probably thousands of these types of coffee table must-read books, editions. And so I'd taken a liking to the one they had, which is exactly this version. And I had purchased this online to match theirs because I enjoyed just the format of it. And out of over 540 pages, many authors, many different book recommendations, Journal of a Solitude by May Sarton was the one that caught my eye. I didn't purchase Journal of a Solitude right away, but I did reference who May Sarton was and kind of take a look at some of the other books she had written. And I ended up buying Plant Dreaming Deep. So I had been reading maybe a few chapters into Plant Dreaming Deep, and you know, it's about May Sarton. She lives in New Hampshire. She's a very gentle woman. She writes from home. She loves flowers. She loves talking about furniture and things in her home. Yeah, just talking about different birds in her yard. She's very inward and down to earth. She's very, she doesn't live a busy life. It might seem busy in her eyes sometimes, but it's a very humble, slow, gentle life that revolves around her small town in New Hampshire, her yard, her garden, her living room, her writing room, and her kitchen and all that stuff, her home. So I had taken a picture of this book and sent it to my other aunt on my mom's side of the family and go, "Have you heard of May Sarton? You must love her. Or have you ever read of her before? It seems so up your alley." She's like, "Oh my God, I love May Sarton." So I just think that's kind of cool. It's sort of like a little small world story. So I'd taken a 501 must-read books from my aunt's house. Again, there's probably hundreds of these types of books. Flipped out of all the pages, this one caught my eye. Actually purchased a book by May Sarton, followed through with it, started reading it, and then actually communicated with my other aunt that, "Hey, have you ever heard of this?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, my favorite author." I think that's really cool. So I already had sort of a connection with May Sarton just from that. I think that kind of stuff's really cool. It's almost like I was destined to read May Sarton. I don't know. And anyway, yeah, so I bought Plant Dreaming Deep. It's a very good book. It's very gentle, and living in a big city like Boston, it's very nice to read this. Sometimes I'll read this on my lunch breaks. I'll read May Sarton, and she's very slow, and she's talking about furniture and where she got it, what she's going to do that day, just small town living, small, quiet, slow life type of things that I think is very relaxing in a city. So I actually had read this and Journal of a Solitude on my lunch breaks outside of my building. It's very fun. Yeah, she's a really wonderful author. She's very poetic. I actually do also have her collected poems, which are excellent. I always try to find, every once in a while, I'll go to the list of poems and find a title that kind of encapsulates what's going on right now or what time of the year it is, and read it. Yeah, so after Plant Dreaming Deep, again, there's really no grand plot with these books. They're just very relaxing. I think if you're reading like a lot of books that are like very intense or very fast moving and you just kind of want to break, sometimes I think this is like just reading a chapter at a time is like really relaxing. Like you just know it's just a humble old lady talking about writing. She's got a bunch of cool facts too. She talks about different authors. Like she'll pull random cool paragraphs, random cool quotes. She'll talk about furniture, where she got it. She'll talk about birds, or she'll be stalking birds. For a whole week, she'll be stalking this one particular bird, and it going to her feeder, or a certain type of animal going through her garden, and she's trying to scare it, so she'll wake up in the middle of the night. A lot of just like really, I don't know, simple, fun. I don't know. I think it's really relaxing. So I'd like Plant Dreaming Deep so much that I bought Journal of a Solitude, which this referenced. And so this is in a format that's sort of like a journal format, which is what a lot of May Sarton's books are sort of written like. So this one is sort of a journal format, but it's a little more of an essay journal. Like she'll name each part, but it does encompass like day-to-day life and what she did. Whereas Journal of Solitude is more of, December 1st. It'll go through an entire year, which I think is fun too. Sometimes you'll actually overlap on the exact day of when she wrote certain chapters and then the day you're reading it. I think it's a lot of fun. She passed away in the 90s, which I thought was sad. After I finished her first book, I actually thought of writing her if she was still alive. What's sort of fun with her writing style is it's so universal, and she doesn't talk about technology or like the type of car or anything. She's just talking about her yard, furniture, flowers, animals. You can't really put a time to it. So I could have guessed she wrote these in the late 80s. She could have written them in the 90s. So when I had learned that she passed away in the late 90s, it was sad to hear, but I know her reading these, it's really cool to just get inside of her head. So some of the other books I have of May Sarton are The House by the Sea and Recovering a Journal. So I know May Sarton does develop some illnesses late in life, and she has memoirs going through. So Journal of a Solitude is her moving into her New Hampshire home, which then is followed by Plant Dreaming Deep. There's many other books. I think this actually is the third one. I'm not positive. This is like her on vacation, or she's reminiscing about her old house, or she has a cottage by the sea or something like that. I am due to read this one. I'm kind of craving it these days. She develops some illnesses, and she keeps writing up until her last days, I believe. She has one called At 70. So Journal of Solitude, I believe she's in her 50s. Plant Dreaming Deep, I think she's also like in her late 50s. She writes all the way up to, she has books called At 70, Pastors at, like, she keeps going, and I think she has one called At 80, and she had like recovered from illnesses. She's got some called like Endgame, and she's kind of badass. just keeps writing until she's 80. You can just keep on doing it. There's no reason you have to start writing when you're 20, 25, 30, 40. You can just keep on doing it. And it goes to, what I like about her is where you have like Hemingway, or you have these other authors where, I don't know, some people think to be a good author, you have to have traveled to a bunch of countries and experience a lot of different things. What I love about May Sarton is you can write about anything. As long as you have the right state of mind, you can, just the way you describe furniture, being real in the moment, talking about flowers and birds and nature, all that stuff is timeless, and it just shows you don't have to experience all this, have this crazy lifestyle just to sound interesting in writing. There's plenty of stuff to write all around you at any moment. So to summarize May Sarton, if you're looking for a nice, quiet, slow book that doesn't have any big plot, but is really just focused on being in the moment and what's around you, I highly recommend. And if I had to choose any of these books that are my favorite, I would choose Journal of a Solitude. Just because I think the journal entry format is kind of cool. You can kind of just get a better idea of where she is in the year and what she's writing about. But I also definitely also recommend Plant Dreaming Deep, and I look forward to reading The House by the Sea next. Thanks for watching.